Hello, I'm Liz Ackley, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about how we continue with our art practice and work in the studio and being creative when time is of the essence and we don't have much time. And as a start point, you'll see behind me, here are what are my 100-day project of this year. And at the time I did an intro video and I also did a video when I was partway through the 100 days. And I'm going to share those in the notes as a reminder. But what I thought today as a wrap up about that work was really to share these on the wall now, but also to talk about it into the context of how I think they're going to be useful for me moving forward into this phase where there isn't much time. And then subsequently, I am going to share with you the sorts of framework I've created to help me to continue with my studio work despite the pressure on time. And just to give you a bit of context, over the last weeks and months, there's been lots of things going on, and including some fairly major renovation work. So I'll swing the camera around when I start talking so that you can see the scaffolding that sort of seems to wrap around me here now. And also I'm working full time in addition to my artwork, so that obviously is a big drain on my time. So hence the focus. And I know we often, all of us, are in these times where there's so many things that are pulling out our time, and there's only so much time. So hopefully this will be helpful for you too. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the camera around so that I can start sharing. Okay, so these, what I've done is I've tried to stick them up in groups of 10. And so you'll see the sort of entirety of them, apart from a few that I used to create some work that I had in an exhibition. So there's about 90, I think, here, but you get hopefully the full impression of them. And just to remind you, I was using lines and shapes and marks and incorporating collage as a way of creating these little pieces, all of them done on location, all of them done on the beach. And I think what is really useful for me now is that it gives me, through these sort of total of images, it gives me that feel of the beach, and it gives me my start point for working on some coastal paintings. And it gives me some of that language, some of that narrative I want to incorporate in terms of marks that keep coming up, of the patterns on the sand, of the sea, of the seaweed and other structures. And so I think what this has given me really is this sort of start language. And by having these on the wall, these are then inspiration for what I can do in the studio and to start doing some other studies that will help lead me into paintings. I just want to share these words. I've literally typed them up. If you remember, or you may not have known, that I was, at the same time as doing the 100 days images, I did try and do some, excuse me, some notes as I was going, just brief notes, sort of just little phrases and terms. And I've typed them up and put them on this sheet. And I don't know yet how I'm going to use them, but it could be that I rejig them and then use them to create some more images or whatever. But I've just literally put them into groups, so February, March, April and May. And they're just typed things, so if you can see, I'll put it onto so you can see some of them. They kind of describe some of the scene. They use words to help kind of explain sort of what's going on that particular day, and that's all there is to it really. I haven't tried to be too prescriptive with it, but you can sort of see the sorts of things I've been writing, and they vary in length, and yeah, so I might well just rejig them and use some of them to inform things, but it's just something I did in parallel with the images. I found it quite hard to do both, so I prioritised the images and then just did these. There are 3 things that I am doing as a way of getting me back into the work, getting me thinking about my new series, and just providing easy routes in to studio practice, whether I've got 5 minutes or half an hour. So the first thing I'm doing, and I've just started, is I'm keeping this little small 15 centimetre square sketchbook, which is full of collages actually, and these are inspired, or not full yet, but I've started it. They are inspired by what's going on the wall, and just by sitting in the studio and using those and coming up with these little collages. So I've done a few, so I'll just flick through them quickly just to give you an idea. And interestingly, some of them are more graphic than others, some of them are much more expressive than others, like this one, and this one. I'm kind of preferring this one. I'm preferring the graphics as the last one I've done so far. I'm kind of preferring the graphic nature of some of these actually, so it's interesting to see whether or not that continues as I develop the work. So that's the first thing I'm doing. The next thing I'm doing is I'm going to start developing a series sketchbook. Now, I've historically done these for the series of works that I've done so far. This is a 20 centimetres, see, like a bright and chunky sketchbook, and I'm going to be using this. This is one I've done before, which was done for my wild flora project, and it's full of things like colour swatches and descriptors of what I like and don't like, plans of the paintings, ideas, thoughts, all sorts of things. And I'm going to make a start in doing that for this. One of the things I'm keen to start with is the colour palette. There are various ways I could do this. Historically, as you can see, I've come up with descriptor names and then I've kind of created the colours. But I want to kind of go a stage, I'll find it now, here we are. I want to go a stage further with this actually. And what I'm thinking of doing is either doing something like this, and maybe I'll do both, but this sort of concertina could be handy to hang on the wall. That's not the right colours, by the way, it's just a kind of a thought and a way of doing it. But then one of the things I think I might well do is I might just get my colours, start mixing, create a whole range of papers on the desk here, and then chop them up like this and recollage them to get some nice combinations. These obviously again aren't the right colours, but there's some things I did for previous projects. And in this way you get something quite interesting, kind of combinations coming out. So that's something that's important for me to start with, and also I'm going to be doing quite a lot of journaling and research. I'm quite interested in some of the environmental aspects of the coast and the sea as well. Those of you that know the new David Attenborough's film about the state of our sea and ocean, it could well be that I connect in some of those environmental aspects somehow in the work, but we will see. Finally, and I remember that now that I need to show you my wonderful scaffolding that is encouraging me, so that's surrounding me, so here it is in all its glory on the front, and it wraps itself all the way around. Anyway, the third thing I'm going to be doing is developing blocks. This is not something I've started, it's a very old block, and I've got, if I swing around to the shelf, you'll see I've got a whole series of these that were started a couple of years ago and never then continued, and they were very start points. So I'm going to reuse all of these blocks, and I'm going to and some other new ones as well, and those are going to be my first paintings. And so I'm going to use collage and mixed media and so on, and that will come out of the studies that I'm doing in the sketchbooks and so on. And once I've developed a kind of a colour palette for this series of works. But the reason that I'm choosing these is I really am quite fond of these 6-inch blocks. They're from Jackson's Art Supplies in the UK, and they can be put onto a shelf or hung on a wall, but I just like the containment of them and the size as a sort of start point. So they're very chunky, so like sort of several inches thick, and as I say, 6 inches square, and they hopefully will be a great kind of thing to do in combination with my sketchbook research and also my small collages. So those are the 3 things I'm going to be doing, and you might say, well, why are you overloading yourself? But I think it just depends on how I'm feeling. I might dip into one or other of them on a particular occasion. So I hope that's been helpful. Please do like and subscribe if you aren't already, and I'd love to hear your comments, and I'll catch you next time. So thanks a lot. Bye bye.